Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is Farzana Shaheen, and we are going to do narrative non-fiction story today. A narrative non-fiction tells a true story about a topic, and then we go here, the goat in the rug. Let's start now. And one more thing, this is a story which goat is telling. She is talking about it. So she's saying, my name is Geraldine and I live near a place called Window Rock with my Navajo friend Glenmay. It's called Window Rock because it has a big round hole in it that looks like a window open to the sky. Glenmay is called Glenmay most of the time because it's easier to say than her Indian name Glenasba. In English, that means something like female warrior, but she's really a Navajo weaver. I guess that's why one day she decided to weave me into a rug. I remember it was a warm, sunny afternoon. Glenmay has spent most of the morning sharpening a large pair of scissors. I had no idea what she was going to use them for, but it didn't take me long to find out. Before I knew what was happening, I was on the ground and Glenmay was clipping off my wool in great long strands. It's called mohair really. It didn't hurt at all, but I admit I kicked up my heels some. I'm very ticklish for a goat. I might have looked a little naked and silly afterwards, but did I feel nice and cool? So can you see here? This is before the wool was taken away or clipped, and this is after that. Is she looking nice now or she was earlier? You can have different opinion. So just tell me, you like this one or you like this one? Anyhow, we continue. So I decided to stick around and see what would happen next. Now she's looking what's going to happen next. The first thing Glenmay did was chop up roots from a yucca plant. The roots made a soapy, rich lather when she mixed them with water. She washed my wool in the suds until it was clean and white. After that, a little bit of me, you might say, was hung up in the sun to dry. When my wool was dry, Glenmay took out 2 large square combs with many teeth. By combing my wool between these carding combs, as they are called, she removed any bits of twigs or burrs and straightened out the fibers. She told me it helped make a smoother yarn for spinning. Then Glenmay carefully started to spin my wool, one small bundle at a time, into yarn. I was beginning to find out it takes a long while to make a Navajo rug. Again and again, Glenmay twisted and pulled the wool. Then she spun it around a long, thin stick she called a spindle. As she twisted and pulled and spun, the finer, stronger, and smoother the yarn became. A few days later, Glenmay and I went for a walk. She said we were going to find some special plants she would use to make dye. I didn't know what dye meant, but it sounded like a picnic to me. I do love to eat plants. That's what got me into trouble. While Glenmay was out looking for more plants, I ate every one she had already collected in her bucket. Oh. The next day, Glenmay made me stay home while she walked miles to a store. She said the dye she would buy wasn't the same as the kind she makes from plants. But since I had made such a pig of myself, it would have to do. I was really worried that she would still be angry with me when she got back. She wasn't though. And pretty soon she had big potfuls of dye boiling over a fire. Then I saw what Glenmay had meant by dyeing. She dipped my white wool into one pot and it turned pink. She dipped it again, it turned a darker pink. By the time she had finished dipping it in and out and hung it up to dry, it was a beautiful deep red. After that, she dyed some of my wool brown and some of it black. I couldn't help wondering if those plants I had eaten would turn all of me the same colors. While I was worrying about that, Glenmay started to make our rug. She took a ball of yarn and wrapped it around and around two poles. I lost count when she had reached 300 wraps. I guess I was too busy thinking about what it would be like to be the only red, white, black, and brown goat at Window Rock. It wasn't long before Glenmay had finished wrapping. Then she hung the poles with the yarn on a big wooden frame. It looked like a picture frame made of logs. She called it a loom. After a whole week of getting ready to weave, Glenmay started. She began weaving at the bottom of the loom, then one strand of yarn at a time. Our rug started growing towards the top. They started from the very bottom, you can see here. Then they will be going up there. A few strands of black, a few brown, a few of red, in and out, back and forth, until a few days the pattern of our rug was clear to see. Our rug grew very slowly, just as every Navajo weaver before her had done for hundreds and hundreds of years. Glenmay formed a design that would never be duplicated. Then at last the weaving was finished, but not until I had checked it quite thoroughly in front and in back did I let Glenmay take our rug off the loom. There was a lot of me in that rug, she says. I wanted it to be perfect, and it was. Since then, my wool has grown almost long enough for Glenmay and me to make another rug. I hope we do very soon. Because, you see, there aren't too many weavers like Glenmay left among the Navajos. And there's only one goat like me, Geraldine. This is the true story of a weaver and her goat who lived in the Navajo Nation at Window Rock, Arizona. I hope you liked it.